I never thought the man who promised to love me forever would throw me out like garbage. But that's exactly what happened. My name is Sarah, and this is the story of how a DNA test destroyed my marriage, my life, and my faith in the person I trusted most. And how one doorbell ring changed everything. Let me start from the beginning. I met James at a coffee shop 4 years ago. I was running late for work, he was reading a book, and I spilled my entire latte on his table. He laughed. I apologized about 100 times. He asked for my number. 6 months later, he proposed. We got married in a small ceremony. Nothing fancy. Just our closest friends and family. It was perfect. James worked in finance. I was a teacher. We weren't rich, but we were happy. We had plans. A house. Kids. The whole future stretched out in front of us. His mother, Linda, never really warmed up to me. She was polite. Always polite. But there was something behind her smile that felt cold. James said I was imagining it. That she just needed time. I wanted to believe him. 2 years into our marriage, I got pregnant. James cried when I told him. Happy tears. He picked me up and spun me around the kitchen. He immediately started talking about names, nurseries, everything. I had never seen him so excited. But when we told Linda, her reaction was different. She smiled. She said congratulations. But her eyes didn't match her words. Are you sure? She asked. I laughed. Yes, I took 3 tests. No, I mean. She paused. Are you sure about the timing? James frowned. What does that mean? Nothing, sweetheart. I'm just surprised. You two have been so busy. It was a strange thing to say, but I brushed it off. The pregnancy was hard. I was sick all the time. James was working long hours on a big project. His mom started coming around more, bringing food, helping with things around the house. I thought maybe she was finally accepting me. I was wrong. One afternoon, when I was about 6 months along, I overheard her talking to James in the kitchen. I'm just saying, you've been traveling a lot for work. Do you really know what she's been doing while you're gone? Mom, stop. I'm your mother. I'm allowed to worry. There's nothing to worry about. I hope you're right. I walked into the kitchen. Linda's face didn't change. She just smiled at me like nothing had happened. But the seed was planted. I could see it in the way James looked at me sometimes. Like he was trying to solve a puzzle. Your mom doesn't trust me, I said that night. She's just protective. Of you or against me? Sarah, don't. Don't what? She basically accused me of cheating. She didn't say that. She implied it. James rubbed his face. Can we not do this? I'm exhausted. So we didn't talk about it. But it sat between us like a weight. Our daughter was born on a Tuesday in April. 7 pounds, 6 ounces. Dark hair. Blue eyes. She was perfect. James held her and cried. I had never seen him look so in love. She's beautiful, he whispered. She looks like you, I said. He didn't respond. The first few weeks were a blur. No sleep. Constant feedings. Learning how to be parents. Linda came over every day. She'd hold the baby, make comments about her features. She doesn't really look like either of you yet, she'd say. Or, I wonder who she'll take after. Or, babies can surprise you. It was always something. Then one day, when Emma was about 2 months old, James came home from work early. I was in the nursery, rocking Emma to sleep. He stood in the doorway. We need to talk. Something in his voice made my blood go cold. I put Emma in her crib and followed him to the bedroom. He closed the door. I did something, he said. What? He wouldn't look at me. I took a DNA test. The room tilted. You what? I needed to know. Know what, James? If your own daughter is yours. She doesn't look like me. She's 2 months old. My mom said, Your mom? Are you serious right now? He finally looked at me. His eyes were red. The results came back. I couldn't breathe. I'm not her father. The words hung in the air like poison. That's not possible. I saw the results, Sarah. Then they're wrong. They're not wrong. It's a 99.9% accuracy rate. James, I have never cheated on you. Not once. Not ever. Then explain the test. I can't explain it because it's wrong. He shook his head. I wanted to believe you. I really did. You wanted to believe me? I'm your wife. He said quietly. You were my wife. I felt like I'd been punched. What? I need you to leave. James. I can't look at you. I can't be in this house with you. Please, just let me take the test again. Let me prove. I don't want to hear it. He left the room. I sat there on the bed, shaking. This wasn't real. It couldn't be real. But it was. By the next morning, Linda had arrived with her lawyer. They had papers. Divorce papers. It's better this way, Linda said, her voice dripping with fake sympathy. Clean break. I didn't cheat. The test says otherwise. Tests can be wrong. Not these tests, dear. James wouldn't even look at me. I had nowhere to go. My parents had passed away years ago. I had some friends, but no one I could move in with on zero notice with a newborn. I ended up in a tiny apartment across town. 1 bedroom. Barely affordable on my teacher's salary. James paid child support. He had to legally. But he wanted nothing to do with Emma. His own daughter. Or the daughter he thought wasn't his. I was alone. Completely alone. With a newborn, a broken heart, and a marriage that had imploded. I cried every single day for a month. But Emma needed me. So I got up. I fed her. I changed her. I sang to her. And slowly, I started to put the pieces of my life back together. I called the DNA testing company. They said their tests were accurate. That false results were extremely rare. They wouldn't retest without both parents present. James refused. I consulted a lawyer. She said without his cooperation, there wasn't much I could do. I could contest the results, but it would be expensive and time-consuming. Money I didn't have, so I lived with it. The weight of being called a cheater, of losing my husband, of watching my daughter grow up without a father. 6 months passed. I had stopped crying every day, started sleeping a little more. Emma was growing, smiling. She had James's eyes. I knew she was his, but he didn't. Then one Thursday afternoon, my phone rang. Unknown number. Hello, is this Sarah Mitchell? Yes, this is David Chun from Gene Lab Testing Services. I'm calling regarding a test performed several months ago under your name. My heart stopped. We've recently discovered a significant error in our processing lab. Several samples were mislabeled during the time period your test was conducted. I couldn't speak. We're reaching out to all affected parties. I need to inform you that the results you received were inaccurate. We've retested the samples we had on file, and I have the corrected results. And the individual tested is the biological father. I'm very sorry for the distress this error may have caused. I dropped the phone. He kept talking, something about liability and legal options, but I couldn't hear him. James was Emma's father. The test was wrong. They had destroyed my life over a mistake. I called James immediately. He didn't answer. I called again. And again. Finally, he picked up. What, Sarah? The test was wrong. Silence. The lab called. They made a mistake. You are her father. More silence. James, did you hear me? I heard you. And? How do I know you're not lying? They're sending the corrected results. They're calling you too. James, I told you I didn't cheat. His voice cracked. I need to see the paperwork. Fine. They're emailing it today. He hung up. 3 days later, my doorbell rang. It was James. He looked terrible. Like he hadn't slept in days. Can I see her? He asked. I wanted to slam the door in his face, but I didn't. I let him in. Emma was in her bouncer, playing with a toy. James walked over slowly, like he was afraid. He knelt down in front of her. She looked up at him and smiled. He started crying. I'm so sorry, he whispered. I'm so sorry. I stood there, arms crossed, watching him. Sarah, please. I made a terrible mistake. You threw me out. I know. You believed a piece of paper over me. I know. You let your mother poison you against me. He looked up. I know. I was weak. I was stupid. I let her get in my head. And now what? You want to come back? Be a family again. I want a chance to make this right. I shook my head. You don't get to break me and then just walk back in. I'm not asking to walk back in. I'm asking for a chance. To earn your trust again. To be Emma's father. You should have been her father from the beginning. You're right. You're absolutely right. He stood up. I'll do whatever it takes. Therapy. Counseling. I'll set boundaries with my mother. Whatever you need. I looked at him. This man who I had loved so completely. Who had destroyed me so easily. I need time, I said. He nodded. I'll wait. Over the next few weeks, James tried. He came to visit Emma. Brought diapers, formula, clothes. He was gentle. Patient. He sent me a long letter apologizing. Explaining how his mother had been whispering doubts in his ear for months. How he had been traveling for work and feeling distant. How when Emma didn't look exactly like him, the fear took over. It wasn't an excuse, but it was an explanation. He started therapy. He confronted Linda. That conversation, he told me later, ended with her crying and saying she was only trying to protect him. That she never trusted me. That she had always thought I was after his money. Money we didn't even have. He told her she wasn't welcome in his life until she apologized to me. She never did. 3 months after the lab called, James asked if we could have dinner. Just the two of us. My friend watched Emma. We went to a quiet restaurant. He looked different. Older, maybe. More tired. I don't expect you to forgive me, he said. I don't even know if I forgive myself. Then why are we here? Because I need you to know that I see it now. How badly I failed you. How I chose fear over faith. My mother over my wife. I didn't say anything. I love you, Sarah. I never stopped. And I know I have no right to ask, but I'm asking anyway. Can we try again? I looked down at my plate. I don't know if I can trust you again. I understand. You hurt me in a way I didn't know was possible. I know. And your mother is out of our lives. Completely. I took a breath. If we do this, it's going to be different. I'm not the same person I was. Neither am I. I'm not going to forget what happened. I don't want you to. And I need you to prove, every single day, that you choose me. Not your mother. Not your doubts. Me. He reached across the table and took my hand. Every single day. I promise. We didn't fix everything that night. But it was a start. We went to couples therapy. It was hard. There were sessions where I cried. Sessions where I yelled. Sessions where I told him I didn't think I could do it. But slowly, we started to rebuild. Not the marriage we had before. Something different. Something stronger. James moved back in after 6 months. We set strict boundaries with his family. Linda tried to reach out a few times, but James held firm. She had made her choice. Now he was making his. Emma is 3 years old now. She has James's eyes and my smile. She's smart and funny and loved. James is a good father. He shows up. He's patient. He's present. And our marriage isn't perfect. We still have hard days. Days where I remember what it felt like to be thrown away. But we also have good days. Days where I see the man I fell in love with. The man who made a terrible mistake, but is spending his life trying to make it right. I don't know if we would have made it if the lab hadn't called. Probably not. But that doorbell, that phone call, it gave us a chance. Not to go back to who we were, but to become who we needed to be. James lost his mother in all of this. She sends cards on holidays. He doesn't open them. Sometimes I wonder if he resents me for that. But he says he doesn't. He says he learned that love isn't about blindly believing someone. It's about choosing to trust even when it's hard. And he chose wrong the first time. He's choosing right now. I wish I could say I've completely forgiven him. But forgiveness isn't a switch. It's a process. Some days are easier than others. But I'm trying. We both are. Because at the end of the day, we're a family. Not because a test said so, but because we chose each other. Again. And that choice, the second time around, means everything.